In this video, I'd like to show off this hackable EMR system that I've been developing for a little while. It's still in very early development, so as a functional EMR system, it's really not there yet, but as a example platform that you can launch attacks against, it's pretty good for that. The design goal behind this, first and foremost, was to try and make an EMR system that has some of the worst possible security you could ever have in any kind of web application. Part of that is due to the implementation, so the code itself does not adhere to best practices in basically any way, and includes things like hard-coded passwords for the database that are repeated multiple times in different files, creating a duplication problem, improper use of sessions and session cookies, and other things such as no sanitization of query strings and stuff like that. Other insecurities have to do with the database itself, in that there is no privilege separation between the different tables of the database. So if you hack one of them, you can hack all of them. There's also a couple Easter eggs hidden in here, so if you're clever and able to break into the system far enough, you'll be able to find some secret development pages and some forgotten pages, quote unquote, which let you do some cool things. So because the system is so insecure, right now I have the setup like this. So I have my virtual environment running in VirtualBox. I have a virtual pfSense router, the VBox switch, and then a Kali Linux distro, and then the Hackable EMR virtual machine. So right here I have my Kali Linux virtual machine, and down here I have the Hack EMR virtual machine. And I'll go ahead and log into the EMR as the admin account. So this right here is the main page of the EMR system, and there is a separation of controls here. So you have the basic user controls, and then you have administration controls, as well as the log off button, and then this tip line down here. And this is actually a pretty important part of the system. We'll come back to a little bit later. So starting off with the controls, we can go to patient lookup, and it's asking us for a patient ID. Right now it doesn't support searching by user by name or by date of birth yet, so that's just for the patient ID. So I can type in patient 1, and we have our patient information here. Already this is a problem because I am supposedly, with this account, a network administrator or a system programmer or something, and I have unrestricted access to patient information. So already off to a great start. But it gets even better because you can see up here we have an upload file to patient record, which would allow us to upload things, presumably things like test results or scan pictures, things like that, and they would appear down here in the patient files. But the system does not do any kind of checking for file verification to tell what kind of file it is or if it's safe to upload. It just lets you upload anything. So because Kali has neat stuff built into it, I can find the web shells. And here I will upload this simple backdoor.php file. And now I have uploaded this simple backdoor.php file to this patient record. So if I click on this, it will execute this PHP file and allow for remote command execution from the user. On the next page, called Enter a Tip, we have a tool that allows users to enter in tips that will pull from a database and then display down at the bottom bar. There's two primary problems. The first problem is that this tip line will appear on every page whether you're logged in or not. So this could potentially include, a user could potentially include restricted information that would appear down here in the tip line occasionally. But more importantly, it's completely vulnerable to cross-site scripting. So I can enter in a special hint here. And now we have a stored cross-site scripting attack. In this case, used as a general phishing attack. But again, because this tip appears regardless of whether you're logged in or not, you will eventually run into this being displayed to every user who tries to access this. And finally, for this video, to wrap it up, I'll show off one of the admin pages, which is this user ID checker. And this might be like a leftover tool from development or something, but the idea is you enter in a user ID and it gives you the username. But because there is no sanitization of the input string, you can very easily run arbitrary SQL commands through injection. So I can do or 1 = 1. And we have the list of all the usernames in the database. In a later video, I'll show how this page can be used in conjunction with Wireshark and SQL Map to dump the entire database, including all usernames, all passwords, and all patient records. But because this web app is still in very early development, the functionality and the presentation of these types of vulnerabilities may change, but in general, the idea is to keep it as hackable as possible and try and include as many things that can be hacked as possible.